You know, the biggest problem with searching for mixing tips online is that A, there are a lot of them, and B, most likely you will stumble across too many conflicts and arguments. Greatest tips are coming from personal experience with one specific topic. But speaking of general mixing rules, there are a lot of myths to debunk. So in this video, I will show you some of the most common ones. So let's start with probably the most controversial one. Analog gear is superior to plugins. And it's completely out of argument that due to tubes, transistors, transformers, which are frequently manufactured by hand, analog gear has this magical sound we all love. But on the other hand, we live in times where it's possible to emulate basically everything with very similar results. A lot of analog modeled plugins also include features that the originals lacked, like more advanced signal pre-processing, unison and stereo features in some mono synth emulations, and so on. And downside of plugin is that it's just a software. Any analog enthusiast will say that having the ability to touch knobs and dial in settings and have your gear ready to go no matter the software, operating system and internet connection wins everything. Speaking about price, plugins are generally less expensive, and that's a big benefit for all of us who want to get closer to desired sound without the need of spending a lot of money. Keep in mind that a lot of pro Grammy-winning engineers also use plugins. And speaking of pro engineers, Celebrity plugin presets will give you pro mix. Short answer is no, they will not. But let me explain you why. Those guys are just giving you hints. Every track is different, and just because the certain EQ frequency worked on hit song, that doesn't mean it will work for you. But hey, our plugin Mixroom also has presets which promise you pro level sound. And if you think you caught me there, you're wrong. Mixroom sets EQ bands specifically based on the tonal balance of your signal. Safe to say that it's like engineer by himself, not his preset. To stay on EQing path, another myth: you should automatically high pass every single track. It's like our muscle memory to cut lows here, cut lows there and there, but that's a one-way ticket to thinner sounding mix. So I got a synth group, and as you can see, there are some low frequencies present. Don't know about you, but once I start to filter those out, the sound becomes way thinner. I'm not saying that you should not use high pass when it's needed, like for example to make sure that low end frequency is not clashing with any instrument in your mix. To double check if you really need to remove low frequencies, use our plugin levels. Once kick and bass are muted, it shows if there are any possible clashes with bass content. You probably stumbled across many tutorials saying that you should put EQ before your compressor no matter what. Truth is that there is no right or wrong signal path, and everything depends on what you're trying to achieve. Using EQ before compressor allows you to control how compressor will react to signal. The best example is a built-in sidechain filter in some compressors, which is basically a one-band EQ. As you engage it and low-cut frequencies which cause compressor to pump and breathe, gain reduction will become more controlled. If you try to boost certain frequencies and then feed it into compressor, it will essentially undo the boost with gain reduction. Placing EQ after compressor lets you control both original and compressed tonality, as some compressors have their own character. As a trade-off of this approach, you may also undo some dynamic range adjustments. The moral is, always place your effects in the order that sounds the best for you. And now, cherry on top, a myth I can't believe exists. You should always cut and never boost with EQ. I know that this idea comes from fact that you can do a lot of damage with boosting wrong frequencies with your EQ. But truth is that equalizers are made to work in both directions. If you're still not convinced yet, then take any Pultec emulation and tell me why there is a dedicated boost knob. To go along with boosting, some people say that adding air frequencies, which is 20 kHz and above, makes no sense cause human hearing threshold ends there. While the part of human hearing is true, boosting high frequencies, let's say 25 kHz and above, is a great manner if you want to brighten sound, like vocals, or even a whole master. This is because most EQ filters, especially analog and analog emulations, affect way more than their center frequency. Thus, high shelf filters on some mastering EQs can extend upwards to 30 kHz and easily affect audible frequencies below 20 kHz. So these are the most repeated myths in music production. They may cause a lot of confusion, especially for those who question their decision after coming up with bad mix. Unfortunately, there are way more misinformation, but don't worry, as you're watching this video and subscribing to this channel, you're safe. I try to give you the best suggestions in all of those videos, which, by the way, you can check after watching this one. But remember, those are only suggestions to get you going, because I truly believe that the best way to get better at mixing is to trust your ears, test out different things, and last but not least, have fun with it. Till the next one, and happy mixing.